UFC 273 this weekend. Real quick before we let you go, and we'll let you get back to your vacation. And again, appreciate you, bud. Khamzat versus Burns. We were just discussing him right then. How do you see that one going down, bud?
Man, as much as we talked about Chimaev, maybe he hasn't been tested, he hasn't been pushed. Like maybe the nightmare stories that you hear are true. And I really think that at his size, I think he's going to be able to stay safe on his feet. Obviously, Burns is a kind of a wild card up there because he does have power in his hands. But I mean, what's Khamzat, like 121 to 1 strike differential, something stupid like that. I mean, he's been hit one time in his whole career. I just find it hard to believe that a man that's gone through 4 fights or whatever he has in the UFC, only been hit one time, is going to get knocked out. So, I really think that, especially in MMA these days, guys are so good at not getting caught, in submissions from the guard or from the top position. I just think that I think Chimaev's going to take him down. He's going to wear him out. It's going to be really tough, especially with the size difference, and for Gilbert Burns to try to catch him in something crazy. I really do. So my money is on Chimaev, but I wouldn't be shocked to see Gilbert Burns pull something crazy out.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't underestimate Gilbert Burns.
Yeah, you can't count him out. But my money would be on Chimaev if we're talking about hard dollars.
Same here. One thing that stood out to me, and again, this is no disrespect to Gilbert. I would never disrespect Gilbert. He's came on this show many, many times. Hopefully we'll have him again soon. And no disrespect to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. But if Stephen Thompson can go 3 rounds and avoid the submission threat, and a lot of that fight was on the ground, you know what I mean? If if Wonderboy can do that, I'm pretty sure Chimaev can. Now, every fight's different. It's always a different, unique set of circumstances. We know that. But still, that stands out in my mind. And I think on the feet, he has the advantage. He's faster, he's taller, he's longer. He's got the hype, he's got the momentum.
And he's the size of a middleweight, and Burns is coming up from 55. We can't forget it. He was at 55 for the majority of his career. So you got a 55er who just couldn't make it anymore, and you got an 85er who tossed around one of the bigger guys in Jack Hermanson in a wrestling match. So
correct.
They're literally 3 weight classes apart, probably.
All right. Real quick, main event: Volkanovski, Korean Zombie. What do we say?
Yeah, I love me some Korean Zombie, man. I love everything about that guy. I love his style, his career. That said, I think it's an easy night for Volkanovski. We know he can strike because he's been in there with guys like Max Holloway and won a lot of those exchanges. And even as Brian Ortega is as good as they come, and as far as his boxing, and he was fine there. And after being in some of those deep submissions and the trouble he was in, and as much time as he spent on the ground with someone like Brian Ortega, that's just not a guy you're going to submit. It's not going to happen. So props to the Korean Zombie for stepping up and being that guy that the UFC knows they can call. But I really think that Volkanovski is the truth. I think he's as good as everyone says he is, and possibly better.
And then lastly, on Ajamain and Petr, give us your quick opinion there if you don't mind.
Man, I always feel like people are always giving me shit because they always think I'm shitting all over Aljo. Me and Aljo are friendly. We got the same manager. Like, I don't have any problems with Aljo.
Aljo's awesome.
I love Aljo. We haven't seen him in a long time. So all I have to go off of is his last fight, which was possibly the worst version of Aljo I've ever seen in my whole time breaking down fights and broadcasting. Just looked terrible. He didn't have his feet under him. He looked super uncomfortable. Maybe that was a weight cut issue or whatever, but I just think that Jan has just too many tools, and Aljo really only has 1 or 2 ways to win this fight, and I think he shut him down pretty handedly, going into the second half of that fight. Now the first half of the fight was pretty even, and I would even venture to say that maybe Aljo won those rounds, but it didn't look like. It looked more like Jan was more trying to find his footing and kind of figure his timing and stuff out. It didn't look super dominant. Petr Yan has just looked fantastic. I don't know how Aljo wins. I guess that's what I'm getting at. If he wins, I don't know how that happens. Is he going to take him down repeatedly and hold him there for 5 rounds? I just don't think Petr Yan is that guy. I think at the end, by the time the fight was over, I think the takedowns were even. Yeah. So I just don't know how he wins.